And we're live. Sports Dev, welcome guys. It's been a minute. Our main man, Mike, the champion from West
I'm,
Side,
I'm at your service, my brother.
from California, is in the house. Before we jump in, thank you everyone for joining us. Or if you're watching this recorded version, if you're listening to it on Spotify, thank you so much. Again, as always, Arewa Baobab, AREWABAOBAB.com is our sponsor. Fantastic superfood powder straight from the Arewa region of Nigeria. High in vitamin C, antioxidants. One of the best things you can add to your diet. Check them out again at Arewa, AREWABAOBAB.com, and buy yourself one of the products there. So, my man, have you been?
Look, I'm blessed. We seem to be coming out of the winter months in the California region. It's getting warmer a little bit. We've
Yeah.
changed times, so things are looking up. They say hope springs eternal, so that's where we're at now. Uh,
Yeah.
and otherwise, just getting ready to see this run in all the different leagues around the world. Super
Yeah, man.
Eagles, World Cup. I'm ready, buddy. I'm ready.
100%. This is an interesting time of the year because a lot of things happen, and coupled now with the eve of the World Cup finalists, finding out who those are going to be globally. So all over Africa, Asia, Europe, North America. I saw Canada qualify today. Just a bunch of different. Everyone's trying to figure out who's going to be in Qatar by, or Qatar as they pronounce it, by 2022, end of the year. Exciting times, and then of course leagues are rounding up. Is getting to that point where everyone's going to be jostling for Champions League spots. Who's going to win the league? And then you have Champions League knockout stages. We just saw the quarterfinals of, the draw for the quarterfinals happen. My team Chelsea is going to play Real Madrid. That should be fun. Um, so I mean, there's a lot of different things going on in the world of soccer, and it's exciting. It's really exciting, and I think you know definitely. But before we jump into all that, it's Women's Month, right? Am I right in saying that?
Women's History Month, March.
Women's
Yes.
History Month.
Yes,
I'm
and in
sorry to all the ladies
Nigeria,
out there.
today is actually Mother's Day. So let's wish a happy Mother's Day to all the Nigerian ladies all over the
Yes,
world and every mother everywhere in reality. So,
all
you
the
know,
women out there and all the mothers out there, and I have children, so I've seen what it takes to be a mom. My hats off to you, and
indeed.
I apologize to my mom for all the hell I put her through.
Oh man, I think a simple apology is not enough, bro. You're gonna need to go to church, do Thanksgiving service for the prayer that needs to be done on behalf of you. But
Absolutely, 100%. Moms are they're the
no, mom,
foundation of every family. So
moms are
you
awesome.
know,
That's without a doubt.
shout out
And
to shout out to all the moms out there.
well, speaking of the women's appreciation month or history month, one of the things that I feel like we don't talk about enough of in our podcast is the women's game. Especially when it comes to the Super Falcons, the under 20 team, the Falconettes, and the under 17s, the Flamingos. And these ladies have actually flown the banner for Nigeria for quite a bit. In fact, one will say they're in all the sporting spheres, they're the most successful, most efficient successfully. These are, if I'm not mistaken, they've won either 9 out of the 11 African women's championships they are on offer when we talk about the Falcons. And they just qualified again for the next edition of the African Women's Championship, which is a qualification series for the World Cup. And they had to go through a tough battle against the Ivory Coast. They overcame them 2-0 in Abuja. In fact, one of the biggest things about that game was that it was actually the first official match at the Moshood Biola Stadium in Abuja after the renovation. So the Super Falcons
Yeah,
were the ones that graced it. And then in the return leg, I believe they also overcame the Ivorians in the return leg. If I believe the score was maybe 1-0. So it was a 3-0 aggregate score. And what's significant about that is the Ivorians were the same ones that knocked Nigeria out of the Olympic qualifying series for the 2020 Olympics that happened in 2021, which actually the Super Falcons have missed out on the last two Olympics, which is kind of surprising. So positives on there is that we have a new coach, an American Waldron, that took over from
Hmm.
the ex-coach they had that quit the job because I guess he was complaining about NFF interference and owing him back salary. But this new gentleman has seemed to put the Super Falcons in order. He's gotten a couple of dual nationality players to come play for Nigeria,
Yeah.
especially some players that apply their trade here in the United States, and particularly one lady that is English by birth. Her grandfather is Nigerian. Ashley pumped her, and if
Oh,
you
yeah,
look at
Pumpter.
her,
Yeah.
you will see that she looks completely white, but she has Nigerian background in her, and she, finally came and represented the Falcons, and she was the darling of the fans, because not because she was white and representing Nigeria, because she was balling. She in fact, I actually watched uh parts of the first half, or was it the second half of the match against Ivory Coast, and every time she touched the ball she oozed class. She plays for Leicester in the
In
below
England, yeah.
English Premier League. And so, on a side note, she actually played a match today where they won 9-0, but she ended up having a head injury. um
Oh,
but yeah, so the Super Falcons seem to be on their way back. Obviously, the top, I think, is the top two or three. I forget the exact number that qualify. So if you finish in the top three, yeah, the top three in Africa qualify for the World Cup, which is something that is kind of a birthright for Nigeria. So I feel like we
yeah.
probably should give them a little bit more credit, a little bit more exposure. Nigeria has a pretty decent league that's going on inside the country. I know a couple of teams like the Bielsa teams. There's a team in Bielsa, one in Rivers Queens, I believe, or Babe, something like that. Again, see me,
Yeah.
I'm talking, I don't even know the full details, but
Uh, no,
so
no,
that's
you're
it.
right. No, it's in terms of trophies for Super Falcons, you can't even compare. I mean, hands down, they're the best national team in all of Nigeria. They've
Completely.
won more trophies completely, hands down. They're the best. I would say they're the most successful team in sports in Africa,
Without a doubt.
without a
Without a
doubt.
doubt. Without a doubt. The
I
only
mean,
thing is, one will understand just from watching, you can see that the rest of the African continent is caught up a little bit, and also I think we've come down a bit too in terms of quality. Even the style of play is not as it used to be, but perhaps that's because the other teams are just better, or
mhm.
it's just a normal cycle of things. You're not going to stay on top forever, but like you said, they are pretty much
No, hands
as
down. I mean, the
efficient as
number
it
of
gets.
trophies they've won, they are just hands down amazing. And unfortunately, they don't get the recognition, as much of the recognition as they should.
I
And
think
that's
because of the fact that they haven't translated their dominance in Africa into the world stage. So up to this day, they've only had two moments in the World Cup where they've gone past the first round, and maybe one time in the Olympics where they've gone past the first round. So, and if you ever read any write up on the Super Falcons, especially from foreign media, one of the things they
mhm.
always say, they talk about their dominance, and but at the end, it's always that statement. But they have yet to translate that into uh, the international stage, in the world stage. All right. So this is why we hired, a lot of people, there were some concerns about hiring Waldron, a man, to coach this team, a foreigner, an American, because they were saying, why don't you give the job to one of the ex Super Falcon players? Like at this point, we have enough experience because our girls play all over the world. We have Oshala playing in Barcelona. She was the leading scorer in La Liga Feminine this year.
Wow.
Even with injury that's coming to her quite a bit, she's missed quite a few weeks, so that's quite impressive. And Barcelona female team is as good as it gets. In they're consistently in the semifinals or winning the Champions League, for the UEFA Champions League for the women. And a host of other players that we have that are worldwide are scoring goals week in, week out, or starting playing. So our girls are not second class to anybody, but we just don't translate that to winning these games in at the World Cup and stuff like that. Because countries like USA, Norway, Germany, Sweden, Japan, even Canada, Australia, those countries are miles ahead of Nigeria when it comes to the women's game. And I don't know why. I'm not really sure exactly why.
Well, I think it's primarily because they put more emphasis and more investment into the game. I'll give you an example. Like U.S. and Canada have some of the highest female players registered to play soccer at the youth level in the world, right? So, and then you have the college system with the college scholarships. So you have a lot of young girls playing soccer early. It's a huge thing. They play leagues. They play a lot of soccer before they even get to a certain age, and then they play college soccer, and then you have the leagues now with the NWSL, right? So you have a system that's already established across the board where the cream is going to rise to the top, right? And you're going to have the best of the best, and they compete on a regular basis. And that's the void we have in Nigeria, right? We don't, if you even find a team of women playing football, you have to, you take your hat off to them. Um, Facts, because it's just rare, and people haven't
Yeah.
really gotten behind it, and the youth development for young girls is not pushed as much. I mean, most of these players, like you talked about, Asisat, most of them they tell you their stories about the challenges they had to fight against just so they could keep playing. You know, it'll shock you, but
Right.
that that's the that's the challenge, and that's why if we're able to really get behind them, especially considering, despite all this challenge, they've won the most trophies in Africa. They keep winning.
Which
So,
maybe says something about the rest of Africa itself. Maybe the maybe in fact, because I remember when they first started out. I remember being a kid and just watching the women play. And back then we used to beat teams 10-0, 8-0.
hmm
Teams like Ghana was like the only country that could even maybe rub shoulders with shins. So that means instead of collecting 10, they collected 4 or 5 instead. And we're talking about home and away because we were just so much better. We had players like Nkiru, Kosieme, the sister of
Mercy Akide.
Mercy Akide,
Yeah,
and those guys, those girls were trendsetters, man. They just seemed larger than life back then. I remember.
yeah,
So
yeah.
perhaps what's happening is that the rest of the countries in Africa, maybe as bad as we're talking about it with us, we're actually the best. We're ahead of the rest of the continent because we started supporting the women a little sooner than everybody else. And in some places, they still frown upon women even running around
No, 100%,
playing
100%.
soccer. It's a
Yeah, yeah.
mentality that has to change because at this point, the world we're beyond that now, where it's like you restrict the woman to only certain roles. Women have shown that they can bring prestige to and honor to your country through sports, and they're very capable. It's not just soccer alone. We're talking about things like track and field. Even if you want to even just venture out a little bit, talking about Okagbare. Unfortunately, she's been banned for 10 years for testing positive. She's
Yeah, she's
represented.
done.
If you think about the Kenyans, they have tons of women that come back with medals from the Olympics. South Africa. I mean, it's all over the place. So African women in sports, we excel. Speaking of, not to hog up the spotlight on the Falcons, the Falconettes themselves, we need to congratulate them. The under 20 women's team just overcame the Senegalese in a two-legged affair. I think they won 3-1, I want to say, in Senegal and four
Yeah.
one in Benin on yesterday, actually, either yesterday or Thursday in the last couple
Oh,
of days.
yeah.
So they qualified over a 7-2 aggregate, and they're going to be in the under 20 World Cup. Now, those ladies have actually represented themselves really well internationally because they finished second twice on the podium in the under 20 World Cup, and one of the only African teams and one of the few teams that has never missed qualifying for that competition. So that's quite impressive. The
Wow.
under 17s also, I believe they've also qualified, if I'm not mistaken. So things are looking well when it comes to football, and looking up when it comes to football and Nigeria.
No, it's definitely looking up. I think, the key point there is, like you said, trying to get more women involved in sport. And I think, outside of just the physical and developmental aspects of sport, when you look at it, it's one of those things where there are intangible factors as well. Learning discipline, teamwork, hard work, doing all those things that athletes go through on a daily basis, how to compete. All these things carry over into everyday life for women. Whenever they get done playing football or when they go to school, whatever it is. So, in terms of development, uh, as a whole, it's something that will significantly help as well. So no, 100%, man. We definitely need to brush up in that sector.
And then when you think about it, man, ultimately, even just all sports around, when you look at historically speaking, apart from men's football, when you look at the Olympics, the women are the ones always coming back with, or at least giving us the best chance at medals. And even from time immemorial, we think about the days of Mary Onyali and that
Hmm.
set, and then all the way to Chioma Jumwa, and winning the gold medal in the Olympics. And if you look at it, it's all even in the last Olympics of our first medal, Essa Brume, won that she won bronze or silver in the last Olympics. We were almost
Yeah,
looking like we weren't going to win anything,
correct.
if not for.
And,
So the
and and we had a woman win a bronze in wrestling from Bielsa.
right. So the truth is, we really do need to invest more in our women because I think, although just like in football is king in Nigeria, and if you look at the way Pinnick has actually run football in the country, he's almost exclusively put all his eggs in the Super Eagles basket to the detriment of the under 23, the under 20, the under 17. Almost they look like a complete shadow of what we know those teams are because everything is about the Super Eagles. You're not going to be mad at it. This World Cup qualification series that we're going through, do you know what the payoff is? The difference between who sits at home and who goes is $12 million minimum. So perhaps you can understand why. But at the same time, there's prestige and honor to be derived from investing in our women, which I think we need to do. We need to push for our society to do that a little bit more because I can see us being dominant, and especially now and when it comes to football, where we start bringing people that have been trained in the United States, so they have the best of the training and nutrition and basically all that, and we can take advantage of it. So it's up to
Yeah, I
us.
think that exactly it's up to us. It's up to the powers that be to really make a dedication and create a plan for how they want to um, sustain and develop women's football at the grassroots level, at the national teams level for different age groups. Even in at the federal level, there needs to be a center for female soccer in Nigeria. If it's in Abuja or wherever it is, they need to have a facility. They need to really, really make an investment into that, and then try to create a program across nationwide um, that really boosts it. And if they do that, they don't even need to make it fancy. They just need to do the bare minimum. I kid you not. And if they do that, I guarantee you will beat a lot of these teams on the international stage that you know that give us trouble. So yeah, man, we'll see what happens. Hopefully, one of us become NFF president, and we can.
Ah, look. No, I don't need. I don't even mean to place that kind of burden on you because that's a whole different cup of tea altogether.
But you know what? Honestly, even from the NFF thing these
Hmm.
days, I with Pinnick, a lot of times I pump the brakes on criticizing him.
Hmm.
Just because I'm like, Nigeria is a weird place, man. If you don't know what he's dealing with from the political side,
Hmm.
you know what I mean? When you're NFF president and you have to go in front of the House Committee for Sports to beg for money. Those guys are not going to give it to you for free. They're going to make demands. Who knows what he has to give up. Um, it's tough, but I don't know. I'm not giving him a pass, but I'm just these days I'm just like, okay, that could have been done better, but I'll reserve judgment.
Look, at
Until
at this point right now, there's only one thing that will make him pass or fail, and that's
qualification.
whether we qualify for the World Cup or not. All everything else is just is talk. He could have done everything perfectly up to this moment. If Nigeria does not make it to the World Cup after Tuesday, then his tenure is a failure. Simple as that. If they make it, then all sins are forgiven. And that in there lies the problem of how things are done in that climb. Because it really breaks down to one result. And now you overlook all the transgressions that have happened prior to that. I would say this though, just from being on the outside observing this week of preparation, which obviously couldn't have started this week. It seems like there's a bigger focus than I've ever really seen from the NFF in terms of just there's less noise coming out of camp. You know, um, You don't hear any sidebar conversations about how this went wrong, that went wrong. Everything seems to have just smoothly taken place from camping in Abuja to traveling to Kumasi. Although, of course, the issues we had were with the Ghanaian people on their side with the airport and the lack of a
Hmm.
ramp to get our boys to come down and all whatnot. And even the way it was a charter flight and the way they left on the night of the game, it's just smooth. Everything's been smooth so far. So it seems they have a focus. But again, there's something. $12 million can kind of have you focus a little more on the task at hand because that windfall, you better believe they've already apportioned some of it that's going to enter inside their own pocket. So they know if that doesn't come, it hurts them. So in any
Yeah,
case,
yeah, yeah. It's gonna be interesting, and that's why I think we should definitely do a live session after that game.
speaking of
That's
the game now, let's
yeah,
transition from our Falcons, Falconettes, and Flamingos. Let's talk about the thing that butters our bread, which is our darling Super Eagles.
yeah. What do you make
So
of the game?
um hmm. So watching it live. hmm, if in fact, let me just analyze the game for you and from the way I saw it, and then give you my opinion the way what I thought it should be. Ghana is not a good team. They're
No,
just
they're
not.
not.
They're just not the quality of Ghana that we know, right? And I felt like we never settled into that match in the first half. We maybe started settling in after 35 minutes of playing. And when we settled, it was when we created a couple of those chances. One was Rebo's chance. I don't know how he
Yeah,
ended up shooting that ball over the bar when he was there by himself. And then that half chance that Victor Osimhen had. But I don't think we managed the game well at all. I don't think we managed the game. I feel like look. I think Ghana has the advantage after that first leg. I think we're the better team in terms of quality, but I think the advantage is with Ghana right now. And here's why I think so: because they knew they weren't as good as us. Their biggest thing was to intimidate us with all the antics they were using, from releasing the squad list 3 days before the game. Who does that, by the way, in the 20th, 21st century? And the attention they got from that disgraceful thing they did at the airport, having our guys jump out the airplane like they did. That's just in today's world. Are we still doing that? And then, of course, the CAF only approved 40,000 into that stadium in the Babayara Stadium in Kumasi, where we all know
Babayaro. Yeah,
Ghana
Babayaro
hasn't
Stadium.
lost in ever and forever. But you and I both know there were at least 60, 70,000 people. And that stadium wasn't 40,000. So it was an
No,
intimidating atmosphere.
it was
Very intimidating.
packed. It was
And some of
packed. Yeah.
our boys just haven't had that experience. They just haven't. I'm looking at that squad. No one on that squad has played against Ghana before,
No, not really.
except at the under 17 level, where Kelechi and Achar and them. When I remember the very first match at the under 17 African Championships on en route to the 2013 World Cup was against Ghana, where we beat them 6-1. Right,
Yeah.
and Kelechi Isaac's success just really shone like stars in that match. Isaac's success in particular, but none of them understand no one really knows the rivalry firsthand, and so, to their credit, I will give them credit for withstanding the barrage and those first initial forays of the Ghanaians. But by the time we got into the game, Ghana was there for the taking, but there were a couple of guys that just played absolute rubbish. Of course, you know one player that I talked about the whole game because we were in community, but I'm going to leave him for the end. Moses Simon played one of his worst games I've seen him play in a minute, and he's been played some terrible games with the Super Eagles on the Roar. At least he's done his job defensively, but for whatever reason, he wouldn't release the ball. He would just the ball was getting stuck under his feet. He just wasn't playing like the guy that we know he can play because Guavon allows him to be free. So it was a bad game from him. The midfield was just overrun. We conceded the midfields. It was a bit kind of puzzling why we would do that. Why we would just we played a midfield of Kelechi, Aribo, and Bonke. In essence, what we did was we replaced Ndidi like for like. You can't do that when you're when you have a light midfield, when you know Ghana's strength is the midfield, and especially on the road. What it seemed like would have made sense would have been to play a double pivot of defensive midfielders. You know, maybe play Onyeka and Bonke together and Aribo up top, and not Kelechi and Achar. Kelechi was -1 in that game. In fact, here's the reason why we were getting overrun in the midfield, and I can't even blame him as much because I think that's an oversight by the coach. You have to understand that the midfield is a place that you have to shore up, and Kelechi could not track back, but he also looked confused as to what to do going forward. So, like I said, he was -1. You heard me from the first 10 minutes, like, oh, Kelechi is -1 in this match because his position was the key position, where he's being asked to create. But if you think about it, Aribo is not a defensive midfielder. You can never make him that. He's more of a hybrid, a box to box. He's gonna venture forward, but if he's not the creative input, then even his venturing forward, he's still like, should I go or should I not go? Which all you need is a moment's indecision in that midfield, and those Ghanaians will come at you. That's their
Close
strength
that. They'll
naturally.
close you down. Yeah.
That's their natural strength. I think if you put a Ghanaian next to a Nigerian, we know we have the pace, we know we have the forwards. That's been historically how it's been. The Ghanaians will always have the midfield, and for us to have conceded that midfield the way we did, I think was a little bit naive on the part of Iguavon. And we were lucky that Ghana's quality up top is just absolute trash. It's trash. They're trash, and that's the reason why we didn't get punished for that. Against a better team, we would have gotten punished for that mistake we made in the way we set our team up. Chukwueze's time as a starter in the Super Eagles seems to come to an end. His game just hasn't matured past the level. It's just stayed stagnant, And I know he got injured at the end of last year, and so that blunted his development a little because he was coming into form. But you know what? We don't have time to wait. And I'm hearing that he also got picked up an injury, so he has a groin. So he may not even be available on Tuesday, and I think that might be a blessing in disguise because he's been absent since AFCON. He hasn't done anything. Now those were the negatives. Obviously, Kelechi and Iheanacho, I don't know how he completed 90 minutes. It just doesn't make sense. Positives. I was very scared about two particular players, William Troost Ekong and Olaina, because those guys haven't been playing since they came back from AFCON. Olaina has been on the bench the entire time in Torino ever since he came back from AFCON. Can't understand it, but that's what it is. And they were supposed to sell him in the January transfer window, but Torino said no because they wanted cover for one of their guys that got in, but they don't play him. He came into that game. In fact, it was him and my second guy I'm going to mention, Balogun. Those two guys were the absolute best players on the field for us on that day. Because really, once Balogun saw that the midfield were getting overrun, because Bonke, I'm not going to be mad at him. It's just, you can only do what you have or give what you have. And he's not Ndidi. See, again, I think the formation we ran, it can work when you have Ndidi, because Ndidi is like two lungs. It can cover a lot of mistakes on the field that he can fight and battle, but you have a limited guy like Bonke who his natural instincts to back pass or it is what it is. So really, we should have helped him out. Anyways, Balogun started carrying that ball into the midfield. That's really when we started taking a hold of the game. It allowed Aribo to settle. It even allowed Bonke to settle. And then once Balogun started doing that, I now joined him too. He started making those forays. We need ball carriers through the middle. We don't have enough of those.
Don't forget Zaidu. Zaidu took the ball.
Yeah, he had that one chance where it was very curious why Osimhen didn't attack that ball with his head. He seemed to try to collect it with his foot, and that one fizzled out. But even Zaidu, I rate him up and down. Like, on the one hand, he made that was nice that he did that, but he had too many moments where he was losing concentration and they were getting the ball behind him, and something about Zaidu is just not up to par to me. I feel like I'm happy that he has that pace, but that's it. His technique on the ball is not that good. He doesn't really deliver good crosses. I just don't. I'm not convinced about him yet. I'm not saying it's terrible, but we can get more out of him. I would also say one more player that inspired a lot of confidence for me was Uzoho. I was kind of
Oh yeah.
also concerned about that because, again, although in the last two games he played a little bit, but even after AFCON, he hadn't been playing in his club in Cyprus. And he looked very composed. In fact, he looked better than Maduka Okoye ever looked in between the posts during AFCON. So there's going to be a battle there. I think the biggest thing is Maduka plays always. Uzoho doesn't. So when it comes down to camp, you can't. It's hard to pick a goalkeeper that doesn't play. But if Uzoho starts playing, I think he just the African terrain. He's just more used to it than
Medical.
Okoye is. And
Yeah,
also, let's not forget he was a star. He was a goalie during the World Cup. He has World Cup experience. So
he
the,
does.
the thing I want to mention about Uzoho that impressed me the most is that his kicking out of the back has improved tremendously.
True.
Tremendously. He now gets a lot more length out of his kicks. In the past, when he kicked, the ball always seemed to tail and it'll go out of bounds for a throw in on our own side, or just tail where it just wasn't a ball that people could fight for. But now he's might have gone into that weight room a little bit more and worked with like a goalkeeper coach to teach him how to kick. Because that was a weakness in his game that was very
Yeah.
glaring, and he's kind of fixed that. So that's good to see. I also was happy to see um, Ogenekaro come into the game. In fact, I think he's
Gazebo.
starting the next match, if you ask me. And also we got to cap Lukman and Basi. So we now have those guys in our fold. So those are the positives. But ultimately, I think 0-0 was not a good score for us. We should have scored one goal. That Simon, again, it just wasn't his day. That was a chance. He lost that chance because his first touch was horrible, right?
God, that was a miss.
His first
That
touch
was a
took him a little
miss, man.
wider than he needed to go because Kelechi actually, for all the bad things that Kelechi did,
He gave a fantastic pass there.
that was a game-winning pass right there. And
Yeah.
all Simon had to do was if you go back and just look at that first touch took him outside just a little bit more and then narrowed the angle and then he panicked. But if that ball went to Victor Osimhen, we know the ball it would have been 1-0 Nigeria. We
I
needed
think
to
that was the best.
score.
I think that was the best chance of the match. If you really look at all the chances of both teams, he had it was a sitter, one on one, man. I was like, okay. As soon as he got the ball, I was like, go, because I didn't think he was gonna miss it. I was like, there's no way he misses this. I think he
His
just
first touch. First touch. That first touch
well,
took him wider than he needed to be. And that was it. In games like that, those are the margins, man.
What
I
do you think
feel
about the
like
penalty?
it was the right call ultimately, but it was the right call. You can't be angry at the right call, but it's one of those where VAR wasn't
I
there.
think there were calls where the referee let them slide, where they fouled Osimhen number of times, and I was like, "What are you doing, man?" I saw them grab his shirt one time, and the ref didn't call it, and I was like, "What the hell are you doing? What the hell are you doing?" Plus, our team, they need to instruct them a little better. That look, you have this guy on the field. He's a finisher. He's making runs. Don't turn a blind eye to his runs. He made so many runs in that game. I swear to you, he would make a run and they're still holding on to the ball.
Moses
He's
Simon in
making a
particular.
run.
Moses Simon
Yeah,
in particular, that was the
you
biggest
gotta
culprit of
look.
all
You
that.
have to look for him. It was
Yeah.
so frustrating, and I love the kid, man. I swear to you, he brings his lunch pail to work every time he steps on that field. Like his work ethic is ridiculous. He fights as a forward, like he plays with a chip on his shoulder. It doesn't matter who he's playing, where he's playing, and that I think. I know you said you think that they have the upper hand. I disagree on that. I think here's what I believe. That stadium, that particular type of game, Ghana, the intensity, the crowd, any other African team loses that game.
Yes. Yes.
Cameroon, Egypt, they lose that game.
I don't know.
I I
Maybe.
I
Maybe.
I, pro-
Some
I
some
look.
teams. You're right. I mean,
That,
I'm not going to argue with you because Egypt lost their 6-1. But
yeah,
That Ghanaian team from 4 or 5 years ago is a completely different team that we're looking at here. This Ghanaian team, bruh, dog, this Ghanaian team is just trash.
No,
It's
no,
trash.
they're
They're
not as
trash.
good.
They're
If you were to
trash.
compare them to older teams, they're not as good. But here's the thing, though: when you
Russ,
have that kind of home team advantage,
when you look at the 10 teams left in the African qualifiers, Ghana is the worst out of all of them. There's only one team that you can look at and say maybe Ghana can compete and say the maybe better, and it's debatable, and that's DR Congo. And I still think DR Congo is a better team. I watched all 5 of the games that happened, and I'm telling you, the Ghanaian team is the worst team. Even Mali, as bad as they did, I will pick that Malian team to overcome the Ghanaian team because they have better players, just top to bottom. The Ghanaian team is the worst out of the 10 teams. We got the best draw. The only caveat is that they are our biggest rivals. So when it's a rivalry game, form
so they
doesn't
show up.
really matter.
They show up to play us, right? I'll
Oh,
give you
yeah.
an example. Did you watch you watch college football this year, right?
Mm-hmm.
You saw Alabama was rolling through teams, and then you saw what
Mm-hmm.
happened when they went to play Auburn.
Mm-hmm.
They almost lost that game, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this was an Auburn team that I think they were like maybe five. They were like maybe they had like almost at 500,
Mm-hmm.
right? So this is and this Ghanaian team with the stakes that were on the line, that stadium, the pressure. That's why they came out at the start of the game and they came out guns blazing.
They did. They did.
I mean guns blazing. They came out hot. And then we just took the air out of the balloon and calmed them down. And
Right.
so, you could tell that Guavon went there to say, hey, we're not going to lose this game.
Yes. I
That was
wish
the
we could have
mindset.
scored a goal because here's what I think. And here's why I said I think the Ghanaians have a little bit of the advantage. And this is my reason for that statement. I'm not saying that they're the better team. Of course, on paper, we're going to be the better team. But Ghana knows that they're not the better team. They know that. And so to them, not losing and not conceding was their number one mission. Why? Because their game plan is going to be the same game plan. They're going to sit back, soak up pressure, and counter us. Because what they're counting on is the pressure is going to be on us. It is, because we didn't score in Ghana. So we have to score. It's like, in order for us to win this tie, we need to score a goal. So we need to win the match. A draw that's not a 0-0 draw sees us knocked out. So the pressure is on us. So we're going to come out trying to score.
Well, if
If
we
we don't
draw
score,
again, we're out.
if we draw, if it's 1-1, we're out. Home away
Or
goal
1-1.
count.
Oh, yeah, if it's 1-1, yeah. Yeah.
Right, and we show, and in fact, when you go back and you look at, remember I told you when Raw was still the coach, I told you I don't think we're going to qualify, and the reason why I said that was based on our home form. We suck at home. A lot of things have changed. A lot of variables have changed at home. We're not playing in any of those bush stadiums anymore. We're playing in an actual really decent stadium in Abuja. It's much bigger. So it's more conducive for our game.
The grass,
Because
the grass is better.
grass is better. The stadium
Yeah.
is not small. All we've been doing for the last few years is really setting the other team, the away teams up, playing into their hands, playing in those small pitches in Lagos and in Benin, or those slow grass pitches in Benin. So teams that want to sit back, we're really playing to their strengths because the field is small, counter attack, and you don't need to go far to counter attack, and they can stay compact. So Ghana's going to try that. I'm hoping, and that because of that pitch, that field, that the size of the field, that we're able to expand, be more expansive in our game, and I don't know, such that we can score a goal. But if we don't score a goal within the first hour or first 30 minutes, fans might start getting restless. Ghana's counting on that, and they're counting on the counter. They're counting on the fact that they know that we're capable of conceding goals even at home. All they have to do is score one time. That's how they see it. If we score once, and then we have a chance to win. They have more confidence now. If we had scored one goal in Ghana, say we beat them 1-0, it was 1-1. It's a better. In fact, that suits us better because now there's no pressure on us. All we have to do is just come out and just be the better team on the day. You understand? And if it's
Hmm.
0-0, we still qualify. But now the
Yeah.
fact that we have to win and we have to score, that puts pressure on us, and they don't have to do anything but sit back and let us do the playing, and they do the countering. The more dangerous as a counter team, as a team, or rather than as a team that wants to have the front foot. And again, that score plays into that strategy. This is why I say I think they have the advantage.
Mm. Very interesting to see. I think I think if we put it forward our best attacking threats, they can sit back all they want. They won't be able to stop. They're not disciplined enough on that team. You know, I mean, if you watch them, I mean, it might be unfair that I'm comparing games they played in AFCON and seeing how solid and technical and tactical their defense is, but they're just not. I'm sorry. You know, you look at the guys, and and like you said, our guys played like crap. If not, those defenders, they shouldn't even have a time of day. You could tell they were anytime Osimhen touched the ball, three or four guys jumped on him.
There were
You know
minimum
what I
two
mean?
guys on him.
Yeah.
Minimum,
So
minimum.
so you know that, like, okay, this guy is not going to beat us. But here's the thing that Eguavon can do to fix that. You could start Ademola Lookman over Chukwueze. Chukwueze is not going to play anyways.
Yeah.
You could bring in these are guys that not only are they good in the wings, they can score goals. So
Hmm.
if you like double Osimhen all you want, those are the guys who score. And those are the kind of guys you need to bring into this game. Emmanuel Dennis.
That
You
boy
know,
needs to play from the start. In
he
fact,
needs to start,
Russ,
man. Like
Russ.
it's not even, you have guys in form right now,
Right now,
goal scorers, and you need goals.
I
You
think,
need goals,
I think,
you know.
I think this is how we have to play this match. If I had to give my formation, there's two different formations. The thing is that it's just that Ghana is. We have to be aware of that midfield. For one, no matter what the formation is, I think we need to play. I think Bonke might be injured. He might have had a groin also, but
Yeah, the groin injury.
Bonke
He's out.
Etebo, he's starting.
And
Onyeka is
Onyeka,
starting next to him, and Aribo is the third midfielder
Aribo
to
gets to
to
move free.
give a lot more freedom to him to do what he does in Rangers. I think Kelechi needs to sit on the bench for this match. So
Yeah,
those
Dennis
three,
bench Kelechi.
they're in there. Now the decision we have to make is whether we want to go with a back three or a back four. So that if we go with a back three, then we draft in either Omero, I don't know if YZM is available, but Omero to pair up with the Igbo wall. And then on the outside, obviously be Aina and Zaidu,
Zaidu.
right? So now that's a 5, 3, that's 8. So we need two more. I think we need to put Osimen and Dennis, or even, I think Osimen and Dennis. Those are the two that need to start.
That's
Or
it,
we could
man.
put Ademola Lukman as that other wing. I don't know if we want to do it, but I don't think Ademola Lukman
Look,
should play wing back. That's not a position
no,
he
no,
plays.
no,
That's
no,
not.
no,
That's
no.
not. Or even Igalo and Osimen.
Is Igalo? Was Igalo there?
Yeah, Igalo's there now, but he was on the bench. Even Igalo, and as much as I talk bad about Igalo, this is a match that his experience might actually come to fore, especially the physicality of Mate and the other Ghanaian the center back they have. Let
Yeah,
Igalo be the one taking all the beating that Osimhen was taking. And then let Osimhen be because what we need is if we're gonna play two forwards, we can't play Kelechi and Osimhen together because then Osimhen is up front occupying those two center backs, but the second striker has to be someone that hustles and bustles. And it's just not Kelechi's game. Kelechi needs time on the ball to collect it, trap it, turn, then deliver with his wonderful left foot if there's something. But Ghana is not going to give you that time. They're going to harry and harass living bejesus out of you. And, this match is Kelechi should come in as a sub in this match in the
yeah,
last
yeah.
15,
He
20,
shouldn't. He
20
shouldn't start.
minutes
But
like he does in Leicester.
but the fact that he actually played 90 minutes, because when they were making the change, I thought, I was like, okay, yeah, they're taking him out, but they didn't. I was shocked. I was shocked, and that tells you something.
It tells
You
you
know
they're
that.
playing for draw and one chance.
But even on defense, right? Even if you're playing for draw, Kelly's not going to hustle.
Well, that's the
But
thing. It wasn't there to
you
hustle. It
saw
was there to
you
stay up
saw
top.
that one ball where they went all the way into our half, and Dennis ran all the way back, and he that's what he does. So and that was effort. He didn't have, he's a forward. He went all the way back to make
The,
that
the
header.
the other formation, I was thinking, this one might be a little riskier with the Ghanaian dominance in midfield, especially knowing fully well they're going to pack the midfield. It's going to be 4-5-1. That's what they're going to play. I think we don't need to be a soothsayer to understand that's the formation they're going to come out with, right? Is the 4-4-2 formation. 4-4-2 is not a great formation when going up against 4 or 5 running because you just get overrun in the midfield. But
Midfield,
if
yes.
our guys can play to instruction, for one, Chukwueze needs to be just left out of this time.
Man,
If he's
seriously.
okay to play, maybe come in the end to run at the guys. But really, this is where Demo Lukman can come in. We play Lukman on the right as a right winger. Um, Maybe Simon or Dennis on the left, right, and then Igalo and then this is where we Igalo and
Osimhen.
Osimhen or Dennis and Osimhen with Simon, and then obviously Bonke and the only thing about that formation is just
I think,
our best
yeah.
guys that we not necessarily. I'm thinking we're
I
gonna
think,
end
I
up
think,
with.
I think you play Osimhen and Dennis. And if you need a goal towards the end, you bring in Igalo when the defenders are a little tired, and he could use his experience to find the back of the net. I think, on the wings, Simon and Ademola Lookman, and like you said, Aribo to roam free, and you have Onyeka and
Table.
Oganakaru, yeah, at the back, as the two holding, and we play, and I guarantee you, Oganakaru, he has a chip on his shoulder. You saw how he came into that game, man.
He was on fire. The
He was
only
on
thing is
fire, man.
his passing is still slack. But you know what?
Nah,
I
that's
wasn't
his
mad at the
defensive
effort.
duties, man. Defensive duties,
I
strictly.
wasn't mad
You
at the
know,
effort, and even the penalty. It was him and Kelechi that harried that defender to win that ball.
yeah.
And then Onyeka, and that's the other. We had a chance to win that game at the end when Onyeka did that. Even he himself doesn't understand how he dummied those two Ghanaian defenders. But he had the ball. All he had to do was just lay it off to Dennis, and Dennis was going to shoot it into the
Oh,
net. I don't know what he.
Dennis should have buried it,
Yeah, I
man.
don't know what he was. But
You
that's not a
know
familiar position for him. Like I said, we don't have ball playing or ball carrying
what happened to Iwobi? Is
midfielder.
Iwobi hurt?
Iwobi got the red card against Tunisia,
Oh
so suspended for two
yeah, so he can't
games.
play. Dang
Yes,
it.
so we truly miss him
Yes, we
because
do.
that's the only
That's
guy that
that
can
guy that
actually
could go
carry the
forward.
ball.
Yes.
Kelechi's playing his position, like that position that Kelechi played would have been Iwobi's position unless they
Yeah,
played
yeah,
him out on the
yeah,
right
yeah,
wing.
yeah,
Which
yeah,
at
yeah.
this point, I'll even prefer him to Chukwueze. Chukwueze, man, I'm disappointed in his
No,
development.
here's the thing about Chukwueze. Ever since he came back from injury, he hasn't been the same guy. That edge that he had, where he didn't care. I don't even think he starts with Villarreal right now, does he?
No, so he shares time with Jeremy Pino. So basically, it's split right down the middle. If Chukwueze starts this match, he'll play about 60 to 70 minutes. Pino will come play the rest, and Pino will start the next match, and Chukwueze will come play the. It's almost been like that for about the last 10, 15
Yeah,
games, whether it's Champions League or domestic games. It just remains the same. I would say it does look like Nye Emery kind of slightly prefers Chukwueze to Pino, but you can't ignore Jeremy Pino, man. That boy. Every time I see the result, I'm like, man, Chukwueze needs to get out of it because that boy, he's coming. He's 19. He's already had like caps for Spain. You know what I mean?
yeah, he's a good
And
player. Yeah, he's
dominated.
solid.
So
Yeah,
that guy, his end product is way better than Samu. Simple as that.
yeah, yeah.
Simple as that.
And
But
that makes a huge difference. Like end of the day, you need guys who can put the ball in the back of the net. That's what it comes down to. Like all the other stuff is, and that's why that game, you, Dennis needs to be on that field.
what our best
Because
players on?
the thing about Dennis is he'll try stuff. He'll try stuff that you least expect him to try. You
Yes.
know, when he gets the ball in your half. So, that's the thing about him, and he'll take that pressure off Osimhen. That they'll have this other guy they need to worry about as well. So I think, that's the other thing. I think honestly, look, I believe we're going there with the right belief and effort. We'll beat them. I
I
think we'll
believe
beat
so
them.
because we're
We'll
better
beat
than
them
them. But
yeah, by
there's also
multiple goals.
always, again, if we were playing against Congo or Mali, you know,
It'll be
yes,
different.
but it's Ghana, and you know that with Ghana they will break their last bone to make sure they don't lose to Nigeria, no matter
Yeah,
what the quality they
yeah,
have. And honestly, I think we should consider ourselves fortunate that we left that game without losing because we didn't put ourselves in the best position to succeed. I mean, that's another thing. Guavon, he has some questions to answer. Why are you coming out with a 4-2-4 formation on the road in a hostile environment with guys that haven't really truly experienced that sort of atmosphere before? We got away with one. Because if you watch in the first 30 minutes, we were just overran in the midfield. So I'm hoping Iguavon. And so the thing about Iguavon is that it's been 5 games now, and all
Mhm.
5 games has been the same thing. It hasn't changed. It's like, oh, let's do wing play. Let's do wing play. Let's shoot
Yeah,
him.
that wing play thing, like, yo,
Great.
come
There's
on, man.
nothing wrong with that. It's just that
But
you have to be
teams, I
able to
mean,
adapt your
it's easy.
formation to what
Yeah,
the situation is at hand. And so far, give him some credit. He did make some changes in the second half, but I think some of those were enforcing it because I think Bonke got hurt. That's why he brought in Organicaro. But remember when he brought in Onyeka? I think he replaced Aribo with Onyeka. I forget who he
yeah,
played, but
yeah. It took out.
then
I
I
think it took out Aribo.
and I immediately mentioned, oh, he's playing for a draw.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll turn out to be a good thing. But we need to score. We need to score, and we need to not give up goals. And if I had to predict, I don't know, maybe we've analyzed this match already, but if I had to predict, I've been seeing 2-1. That's the score I've been seeing. 2-1 Nigeria. 2-1 Nigeria. So
Here's what I think, though. I think if we score and Ghana has to come out to try to equalize in Abuja, they're in trouble. You know what I mean? I think if we score first and they now have to come out to equalize, and while doing that, we're gonna catch him. We're gonna catch him, and we're gonna score again. I can almost listen. I can almost promise you
yeah,
because, and I was watching the Ghanaian team. I mean, Jordan Ayew was really trying to put us to the sword, wasn't he?
that guy has no quality. Hey, Jordan, are
He was
you?
he was doing every you boy. He was giving his all.
He was
You know,
he
what I mean,
was trying.
I've watched Jordan Ayew play times without end for Crystal Palace. Right? He doesn't give that kind of effort. Not even close. Like he gave everything.
He
You
did.
could tell he
The other
did.
guy,
He
the other
did.
guy that tried is Aqua. What's his name? The guy I was been
The young
hyping.
boy,
I've
the
been hyping
striker.
him up. The one
Yeah, the
that
guy
he's
for Roma.
shown. No, not Afena. What is his name? Afena. That's his
Gian.
first name.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's the other guy. He's the
He had a
wonder
shot. He
boy.
had a shot on goal that Uzo saved.
Aqua.
Like, yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
need to
I know
remember
who
his
you're
name,
talking
man.
about.
But that boy, I've been hyping him up since the under 20 tournament last year when Fatau. That
Hmm.
boy, woo, he gave us some problems. He gave us some problems, but he's young, man. He was only like 16 when he played on the 20 tournaments. I think it's like 18 or 19 now. But
Yeah, they have a young team.
he's not experienced enough yet. But watch out for that guy. They have some good players. I mean, not Ghana. They have quality. If they're here at this point, there's some pedigree there. I'm not gonna like sit here and act like they don't have any quality. Just the truth is, when you put them man for man with the Nigerian team, more maybe except for Partey, really that's the only name that you'll say stands above any of our players. And maybe I'll take Amarte over Truce Ekong. But Amarte himself is full of disaster if you watch it at Leicester. But he's gotten
Yeah,
better. He has gotten better over the
he's
season.
quite
But
very, very questionable at Leicester.
yes,
But that's why I think we have the kind of quality players that can make them pay. We just need to get it together, man. You could tell watching us that we played well to a certain degree. Let me put it that way. But in terms of trying to create chances, we didn't create a lot of chances. Like when guys get the ball and how to place the ball in the right places, who to look for, what runs to look for, those sort of things, we don't do that too well. We get the ball, we try to push it to the wings, and our wingers try to go take on people to create. That's what you saw. That's what you saw. That's what you saw against Tunisia, and that's why it was easy to shut us down because what they were doing was they would double team the winger. As soon as you get the ball to the wings, they would just double team Ajala
yeah.
and try to
Which
shut down whatever he could do. Right. So
uh,
once they did that, our offense got blunted. So if you look at it from that standpoint, if Ghana is able to shut down our wingers and that same thing happened in this game. That's why I say Ajala. You were saying Ajala looked like he couldn't get. It's because every time he got the ball, they were on him, and what he typically does, they were like, "Nah, you're not going to do that."
He held on to.
You
He
know?
just didn't have a good game. He held on to the ball too
Yeah,
long.
yeah,
I
yeah.
remember, like in
So
the first 5 minutes, or first within the first 5 minutes, there was a time he got the ball, and Victor was screaming with plenty of space. You don't even have to look. That's one of those. As soon as the ball just comes to your feet, you just kick it
yeah,
as
release
far
it,
forward.
man.
It's
Release it.
basic. And Victor in space. Let him go do what he does. He held the ball, lost the ball. Another time he had the ball, he had dribbled through two guys already. He was in the middle of the field. He was looking straight on. Okay, it's time to release. In football, there's a clock in your head. You dribble one, dribble two. At some
You got to
point,
release that ball,
okay,
man. Look for the run.
just release somebody.
You
Instead,
got to
he
look for the
got
run,
it, held it back, tried to beat another man, lost the ball again, and
and
then
that's
all.
yeah. That's why I think honestly, I think Dennis in Henacho's role and Ademola Lookman, those guys will recognize runs. They will.
We need to be more direct. We don't have time.
Yes.
Look. Their strength is the midfield. Our strength is our striking force. Just be direct. Bypass.
Yes.
Just be direct. I don't care if you look at this game. There's not about style points. It's about winning.
Mm-mm.
If you need to pump in long balls, pump in long balls.
You have to know when to do it. A lot of times you try to see them take the ball, take people on. No, the ball comes as soon as before the ball gets to you. You could see Osimhen making a run, or you know where he's possibly going to be. Hit the ball one time. Feed him quickly. Don't waste time. Like that flow of the game in the final third, it wasn't there. It wasn't there for us. We were playing Ghana's game because that's what Ghana was doing, right? The Gian boy wanted to take on our defenders every chance he got. One time he took them
Afenajian.
on. Afena Ghanaian caught the
Yeah.
ball back in, had a nice shot. That was a really sweet move from him. Ozo saved it. The other time he took the ball in, laid it back on for the guy you were talking about. He took a shot. Ozo saved it as well. So Ghana was really playing that physical game. If you watch them, right? They didn't have that same thing as well. Jordan Ayew just trying to go down the wings, take people on. That's all he was doing all game. But it has to be more than that.
Jordan Ayew sucks,
Yeah,
man. He sucks. It's like, come on, man. anyways, anyways, bro. Let's
bro.
see. Let me remember this guy's name. Afenajian, that's his name, and then
Yeah,
Ishaku, Felix Afenajian, and Fatawu Ishaku. I like that kid. I really like him.
yeah. Shaku is the one that
Anyways,
had the shot on goal.
what's your prediction for the match?
I think we beat him.
Final
My
score.
my prediction is about I think 2-0. I
Okay,
don't
you
think
say
they
two
score.
zero. I say 2-1. I'm just trying to give him some respect.
Yeah,
At least
that
let our Ghanaian brothers get a spoon of jollof, on their way to the party.
yeah
You don't
that
want to
two
have to
zero
guess and not
that two
feed them.
zero. I'm being generous because I think if we score first against this Ghana team, they
Hmm.
will crumble. I promise you. In Abuja, they will. It's a young team. They haven't been in this position before. We have a team that once they get that little flicker of confidence, our
Hmm.
team they become ruthless.
Oh yeah,
We will become ruthless, and I
I
think
think so. I
if we
think so too.
score, if we score, this Ghanaian team they'll start trying to find ways to get their head out. They'll immediately try to react by pushing up, and might be one of the biggest mistakes they can make because they
I
do
actually
that.
think scoring early is good, but in football, it's sometimes better to score later than early. Because early now you start playing the game of, oh, let me now sit back for the rest of the game. It's
Well,
just
no,
human nature. And that's a dangerous thing because 1-0 is not a good score because all it takes is
no,
one goal from them and you're out.
we're in trouble.
So, anyways, man, I think we both agree that again, I'm basing it off the fact that we're just a better team.
Hmm.
Pedigree wise, 6 World Cups compared to their, I think what they've been 3 World Cups, if I recall correctly, maybe yeah, 3 World Cups. That's all they've been to, and we've been to 6. We're trying to go to the seventh, and the seventh will tie Cameroon for the most.
Yeah,
And the way things are looking, Cameroon is not
Cameroon
going to
ain't
be there.
going. They're not
The
going.
way they're looking. So
We
actually,
could talk about the other games. Look, Cameroon's
if
not
you
good. I watched that game. Look, it's and it frustrated the piss out of me watching it, man. Look, because here's the thing. First of all, they fired that guy. I'm
Sensation.
a big advocate for hiring African coaches
Hmm.
over any European coach. And that's just the truth. Just because I think, how you going to develop your football and your coaches if you're not giving your guys a chance. But
Agreed.
let's be honest. The guy that took you to the third place game in the AFCON, where you guys were playing, better football, more
Better than I've
disciplined
seen
football.
them play
Yeah,
recently.
yeah, yeah. Not, I mean, it wasn't, but you guys were playing more disciplined football. They got rid of him. And who do I see on the stand? Rigobert Song. And I no knock on Rigobert Song. He was over there wearing some kind of funny looking suit. No knock on him, but yo, come on, man.
The
And then
suit
I
doesn't
watch,
make the coat, apparently.
and then and then I watched the game, and all they were trying to do the whole game was out physical, out muscle, out run, and I'm like, there you go, back to
Yeah,
the
they
old
were
kind of
they were
looking.
they were lacking in quality, and even the
Oh man,
commentator was saying it was very damning. The white commentator was saying I don't know if it's what the European sounding commentator was saying that you know the fact that they conceded the goal is a tough situation, but he doesn't believe that Rigobert Song has enough experience to turn this around from where they're
that's
at.
my
And
point,
and,
man.
and I'm not saying Rigobert is not worthy of being the head coach. Far from that. It's just that I think I messaged you prior, and I was saying it's odd to see. The truth is, you have this important qualifier coming up. The coach you had didn't do bad. Now, of course, you're the host country. You want to win it, everybody. But look, Cameroon played better than I've seen them play in a long time. Like the attacking football. It was to me. I think Cameroonian players are crude on the ball. It just the ball and them don't seem like they like each other. It just seems like it's a physical battle. It's just
Yeah, I know what you
they
mean.
want to.
It's not fluid.
It's not smooth, but hey,
It's not
whatever
smooth. Yeah,
works. There are many
yeah.
ways to get the job done. So, in as much as it's not my preferred manner of watching the game, but if you look at it, they were the highest scoring team. It was goals aplenty. That third place match against Gabon when they were down 3-0, and then they brought in their key players and they turned it around in the old days, man, that wasn't happening. So
No,
this team had something going with that coach. It, Samuel Eto'o was a little misguided there. If he was going to fire that coach, at least wait till this thing was over because really the
wait,
best
wait.
chance to qualify.
Samuel Eto'o made the decision.
He's the
He's the head of the FA.
is the FA president, man. So he made the decision
Oh
because he's all
man,
about African coaches. So in fact, speaking since you didn't know that, he got hired. He won the election last year in the middle of the year. His first job
I must have missed that.
on the
Yeah.
first on his first day of the job, he shows up to work on time, like early, and waits at the gate. And he locked the gate at 7 a.m. whatever time that people are supposed to show up. So if you showed up after that, you were fired on the spot.
I love it.
So that was the beginning of his tenure. And, of course, in Africa, that's like, people were like, dude, what are you doing? Some people were supporting him, like, yes, we need to come clean things up and settle things. Others were like,
That's what he started
you
doing.
don't want to start building enemies from day one. But he's Samuel Eto'o, so I don't think it matters as
Yeah,
much.
he should have given them a warning. He took the
Yeah.
radical approach on day one. But here's the thing. So yeah, he was wrong on firing that guy. Look, they're not going to make it to the World Cup because they're playing Algeria. And if you
They're
watch
playing
that game,
Algeria in Bilda in a place they
yeah,
haven't lost in 80 years. 80
yeah,
years they haven't
yeah,
lost in that
yeah,
stadium.
yeah, they're not.
So
Algeria's going to beat
yeah,
them on the road as well
and
because
and
they'll come out.
in the qualifying. Sorry to cut you off, man. The qualifying
Yeah,
series, apart from our match, that to me was the most interesting matchup because obviously Senegal and Egypt, obviously for obvious reasons. But for me personally, I really wanted to see because Algeria they had a disappointing AFCON without a doubt. They just looked very feeble,
oh, they were
and one
terrible. They were
one
terrible.
one
Yeah,
must say they're better than what they showed. We know
yeah.
that. But I think some of it had to do with the heat. I think they just also I think they just looked at it like, man, we've already won AFCON. We just finished winning the the Arab Cup, you know. Okay. You know what? This is too hot. We're not even gonna bother ourselves. We have a World Cup. The World Cup is more important to them than AFCON. I truly believe that's what mentally that's how they looked at it. So I was really interested to see how they bounce back. My brother, that quality, yo.
Oh
quality.
yeah, they're good.
The
They're a
way
solid
the
team.
way they like absorbed Cameroon, and Cameroon didn't really create, didn't threaten that whole
And
match.
they had close to 70% possession, and they barely threatened the first half. Matter of fact, after the first half, I stopped watching it because I was like, "There's no way these guys are going to score." I'm serious. After the first half, Cameroon had maybe one chance. These guys, every time Algeria touched the ball and they sat back, they looked dangerous, like they were going to score. And the one goal they scored was a set piece, crossed the ball in. Soleimani went up above all the
Slimani.
Cameroonians.
Yep.
Beautiful header. Can't take
Yeah.
anything away from that header. The
Ben
cross was
Ben
even better.
Benzabani, that boy played very well. Mahrez wasn't really in his top self, but he was pretty good, and just they just played within themselves.
Yeah,
And the defenders just shut out all the Cameroon. Cameroon didn't do anything.
yeah,
It was
they,
just
they,
you
they,
said.
they, they didn't. They played the game like we're not going to exert too much energy. We're going to conserve energy. We're going to be very tactical and very disciplined.
Mhm.
Cameroon will lose the ball. They will
Mhm.
make mistakes.
Mhm.
We'll get our opportunity and we'll
Mhm.
score. And if
So
we don't score, we'll draw. And they got
we'll
to come
finish.
to
We'll
Algeria to
finish. We'll
see us.
finish it in
Yeah,
brutal.
and
So
they did
you
it.
and you and I both agree that this one is game set match. Algeria
No,
is
it's
going to the
it's
World
it's a
Cup.
wrap. It's a
Okay.
wrap, man.
So what
Cameroon
about
is not. Although funny thing about it is Lions,
they can win
they will
2-1 just
they will
somehow?
shock you. They will shock you
Well,
when you
that's the
least expect
beauty.
it. That's the
That's the
thing about
beauty
them,
of
man.
this matchup now, where it's the
Yeah,
best teams. It's the best teams playing. So this top notch
the best
quality
teams playing each
in
other.
terms
Yeah,
of African football. Egypt versus Senegal. What did you get? It was. I'll be honest. That match was running concurrent to the Super Eagles match. So although I had an eye on it, it was on the side. I
I
didn't
saw
really
and
give it as much attention. But what I did
yeah,
see was that Senegal actually dominated Egypt in that match. Just couldn't
I
put the ball
saw
behind the back of the net.
exactly. I saw an extended highlight. Egypt didn't look impressive, considering that they were playing at home too. They didn't look impressive. Senegal looked like a better team. Um, I'm
Egypt
guessing they're
got
playing in
lucky on
that.
their goal.
Yeah, they got lucky on the goal. It's a bounce. Salah, beautiful turn, did his thing, bounced out the defender and went in. Um, I'm guessing they're playing in Dakar. Look, if they keep their wits about them, Senegal will qualify.
Yeah,
If
it's
they
tough.
if they keep their wits, if they go in and say, hey, let's play football and do our thing, they will beat Egypt at home.
Yeah, but
Because
it's a dangerous
if you look,
situation because of that away goal. Because Senegal can win
yeah,
2-1 and still be knocked out. And by the way, we need to get rid of the away. If UEFA is done
but
with away
if
with away
Senegal
goals,
wins 1-0, now they're even, right?
it's.
And
But I don't see Senegal beating them by more than one goal. That's just the thing. I just don't. And really, the more likely result is like a one goal score, but where both teams score. That's I see 2-1 as a score also, which will have Egypt go. It is that away goal thing matters. When you don't concede at home, the advantage is yours because you
it's
don't
yours.
you just go play football in the next leg. That's all you got to go do.
I think because here's the thing: if you look at the game, the final of the Afcon, Senegal better team. You look at the game in Egypt,
But couldn't score.
but couldn't score. They struggled. Yeah, Senegal the better team in Egypt, right? They
But couldn't
considered,
score.
but couldn't score at home.
Oh
It's a
boy.
different ball game, man. Like that
How
home
many
advantage.
how many
I
goals do
swear to
you
you, it's
see
a real
home
thing.
advantage given them? That's the thing. You couldn't score in AFCON when you were the better team on neutral ground. You couldn't score when you were by far the better team even on their home ground. And you gave up a goal. So I don't see Senegal is not 2 goals better than Egypt. They're just not, in my opinion.
I
They're
think
not.
just
They're
I just
not.
think
It's
I think tactically the Egyptians just defend pretty
exactly that's
solid.
their strength.
But here's the thing. I think playing in Dakar, I could see Senegal scoring 2 goals. I'm telling you, man. You see,
Maybe, maybe.
because the
Pressure's on them though.
dynamics, World Cup qualification, pressure's on them. You're right. World Cup qualification at home, playing a team they've played twice, they've beaten once confidently. They knew they could. They just couldn't find the back of the net in Egypt. They could go in there. I'm telling you. And Egypt, depending if they create the kind of environment that we experienced in Ghana,
Mm-hmm.
in Dakar,
Mm-hmm.
that could have a huge impact on the
Yeah, but they don't
Egyptians.
they don't have that same. I don't know that they have that same, but we'll wait to see. Me personally, I'm thinking Egypt has shaded this because they didn't concede at home, and that's just the biggest thing. And I think Senegal gave it everything and still couldn't breach the Egyptian defense. Where I think it was really important for them to not lose that game in Egypt. More importantly, it was important for them to score because Egypt set up. This is right into this again. It's like Ghana against us. This is right into their hands, but they're much better than Ghana at playing that game. In fact, this is their game. Just
Sit
defend
back.
and play. At worst, they'll concede a goal and they'll go to penalties. But really, I see
But
this as a 1-1 game in Dakar, or 2-1 at the best. And I see Egypt going through just because of the first leg. I believe Senegal is a better team overall, but I think that not scoring in Egypt is going to come back and haunt them. And just as a
no.
tidbit, do you know Egypt has never won a game in the World Cup
Yeah.
in
Fact.
all
That's
these
why
years?
that's why I don't want them to go.
Yeah, they don't
Because
represent
they'll
very
because
well.
Most North African teams don't represent very well.
Well, Morocco
They'll go
did in
to
'86. They did.
Egypt lost to Saudi. Egypt lost to Saudi Arabia in the last World Cup. I kid you
Algeria
not.
did well in '82, '86, and in 2014. So Algeria's had pretty good performances. But yeah, you're right. Tunisia, I can't stand them, man. They're the
Look,
boringest of
let
all
me
the
tell you this.
teams.
They look when they go to the World Cup, sub-Saharan African countries look
Hmm.
way better than they do in World Cups.
Yeah.
Overall, when you talk about teams like Ghana, Nigeria, Senegal, way better. I mean, they go to World Cup teams like Tunisia, Morocco. You're like, who are you? Like,
Speaking
who
of
the hell are you
Tunisia,
guys?
they
Yeah.
literally got given. I mean, Tunisia's in. We both agree that first leg, Tunisia
Yeah.
Mali. You could just see Mali's inexperience at this stage. This is like a step too far for them almost. And if you look at the guys, if you kind of look at the players individually, one would think a Malian should be ready for this kind of, because these are guys that are playing the top flight in France and in England, in Spain. We're talking about guys that could play for France. Some of them, even what's his name, Abdoulaye Doucouré, that plays at Everton. I like that. I've
Mhm.
always liked that guy. He plays with a will be a solid
He,
defensive.
he's Basuma. He's
Yves
Basuma that plays
Bissouma was
for.
out there,
Yeah,
and
that's
those
my
guys.
dude.
But they
That's my
had
dude, man.
one guy that just had a horror show on that day. I don't know if you got a chance to actually see the match. This gentleman, man, the defender,
Yeah,
plays
you
a
want that
back
one
pass to
go?
his goalkeeper, overhits the back pass. First of all, I don't know why the goalkeeper was standing where he was and it was comedy, man. He see the goalkeeper run in to try to save the ball, but it scores an own goal. So Tunisia didn't even do anything in that match.
That's
Tunisia
my point.
did nothing, and Mali, they just let Mali win the game for them. And then, worst of all, 5 minutes later, the Tunisians are off on a breakaway, and just to like sort of encapsulate the kind of night this gentleman had. He fouls. He fouls the Tunisian, but he doesn't even really. It's like a weak attempt to foul. Like, if you're gonna get a red card, at least get a good foul. He literally just only like brushes against him, and the guy falls down, and the ref has no option but to send him off. And pretty much once he got sent off, it was pretty much game over at that point. Mali still created the better chances after that, surprisingly, even with 10 men and about 60 minutes of football to play. They still had the
Yeah,
better of the chances, but I feel like that's game, set, match, because I just sort of think I don't think Mali has the experience and the know-how to overcome this situation. Unfortunately, in as much as we don't like the way Tunisia plays on the world stage, they have more of the experience in seeing these kind of games through, especially at home. Those North
yeah. I mean,
Africans.
and again, this is African football, bro. Now Mali coming back, I doubt it. If I was to bet, I won't bet on Mali. But African football is weird, man. I mean,
Bruh.
when was it? And I say it's weird, particularly not in Mali's case. I don't see Mali having the grit to do that though. Like the Cameroon case, it will shock you. Cameroon to go to Cameroon. You remember when they beat Italy for the 1990 World Cup, and then
Hmm.
they beat who else did they beat? They beat
Colombia.
someone else.
Colombia.
Colombia. They do these things sometimes when you're like, this team is garbage. There's no way they'll just go out there and beat a team out of nowhere. Cameroon is weird like that, really unpredictable and weird.
I think it's that
Now,
physicality of their game that they always have that
yeah,
can wear
yeah,
you
they
down.
do this thing, and once they get some confidence, they're hard to stop.
Right.
Um, the Mali case, that's just inexperience, man. And again, a lot of these teams, you look at a team like Mali, all their players play for teams in Europe, right? So these guys are exposed to football at the level. But when you bring them together as a team, the coach who could bring Mali together and make them play as a disciplined tactical unit, they will have a team on their hands. The reason why they struggle, and most of these teams are the same. Cameroon is the same way. You know, I was watching Chupamoting and all these guys. I was like, these guys are solid. I watch them every weekend. These are players, but they play under systems where they've been created opportunity for where they could flourish. And the Cameroonian team, they're just individuals trying to showcase their skills and maybe find the back of the net.
And you just hit the nail on the head with that, man. And that's usually what I see with them playing is like very disjointed play and it doesn't make anything. And with the last match, the last one is the Morocco versus DR Congo. I
Yeah.
don't know if you that was the early game. That game started at my time 8 a.m. And it started out one thing I have to say, man, the Congolese fans, man,
They show up,
they
huh?
know how to party. Like the
Yeah. What was
atmosphere
it?
in the
Was it in
stadium,
Kinshasa?
it definitely was, and the atmosphere
Yeah.
in the stadium is second to none. I
Oh,
think
those guys.
a
Yeah.
lot of. I don't know if you remember, if you recall back in the '94 qualification series. So in that '94 qualification series, the way Africa went, we had um, I think it was I'm trying to remember. It was Uganda, Congo, and Nigeria grouped in one group, and the team from there win, and then you go into the second group, and then we end up playing against Algeria and Ivory Coast for the final and the team that won. So we had to play Congo and them, and we played them in their place. And first of all, they took us to some field that looked like even cows wouldn't even want to be running around there. And Yakini scored this amazing shot from like almost half field that I don't even know how it beat the goalkeeper. We beat them 1-0, but then they attacked us. I don't know if you remember that. They attacked the Super Eagle players. Yeah. So it was like the Eagle players were like, we were fearing for our lives. But anyway, that's the kind of atmosphere that they had back then. And then even in that era, those times, their club teams used to always battle against our club teams like Iwanyamu National. We used to always play against
Mm,
Nkana Red Devils
yeah.
or those teams back in those days. Anyway, I just remember, but back then the atmosphere they turned it up. A lot of these African countries have learned from us, our supporters club, the atmosphere, and they've actually like. I think atmosphere in the Nigerian stadiums have sucked of recent. I think all these other countries have surpassed us in their fans' atmosphere. We used to be the ones that set the pace. But you know the problem, and that's actually a whole new podcast. The NFF support the Nigerian Football Supporters Club politics and troubles. You know, there's like three different factions right now.
Really.
Three different
Maybe, maybe,
factions,
maybe, maybe we need to get someone from the supporters club
and
to come
and
on.
inside the stadium, all three different
Mhm.
factions are singing different songs. Ahmed Musa had to come up and say, "Look, you guys need to figure this shit out because you guys are not helping us out. We rely on you guys and the unity you have over the years to like boost us. But when we're hearing different songs going on at the same time, even our morals aren't being boosted."
One point about that though. Of course, Musa will notice that because he's on the bench, right?
That's a different topic for different.
Because
Anyway, so
if you're playing, there's no way you hear all that shit.
nah, you
It's
hear
on.
it though. No.
Nah,
The
man.
players, nah, the players hear it, bro. No. I completely disagree with you. The players, they hear it. They know what's going on in the stands. They hear it, especially at home, or even especially when you're in hostile situations. And you heard Supporters Club in Kumasi. I can hear them. They only
Yeah,
allowed Ghana only gave them 2,000 tickets to Nigerians. They said only you guys only get, but of course there's way more than 2,000 Nigerians in that stadium.
yeah. No, there are people
But
that live there. Yeah,
but that's why they wanted to move the game from Accra to Kumasi, by the way, because they knew in Accra they will have overwhelming. It'll be 50-50 Nigerians. In Kumasi, they knew they will have that was their backyard. That's the one place where
yeah,
they know they can control. But anyway, coming back to this Congo Morocco game, man.
yeah.
Congo came out looking good. They scored the first goal. They had chances to score the second, and as always happens in football, it was right after a gilt edge miss. Morocco took the ball the other end and equalized. And in fact, Morocco actually even missed a penalty in that game. Um,
Wow.
excuse me. So
I
in
do
their
want DR.
minds,
I do want DRC to go though.
yeah,
I
I
want
think
them to go, man.
Morocco will be a better representation for Africa, though. Just the team that Morocco has, at least the quality of the players. They're I would love to see DR Congo, but their game is also a little bit disjointed. They're almost like a hybrid of Mali and Cameroon. They have skill, but they some of their players when they get that ball is like there's no love between them and the ball. It's just they're fighting with the ball. It's like physicality. Let's pump them. When you see the cross, somebody would cross the ball and they'll end up on the corner flag on the other side.
But that's what I'm saying though. Is like, a lot of these guys, that's the issue, man. It's like you just bring in a bunch of mercenaries together and you're like, okay, it's almost like this. Let me put it like this to you, right? You get, I don't know, a team of mercenaries, give them guns, and you're like, okay, I want you to go up against a team of Navy SEALs that have been working together and fighting together for the last 5 years. It'll be a massacre. But that's what I'm saying. Like you see it like a lot of times, especially with these North African teams, right? The reason why they're so successful in Africa is because they just kind of, you know, understand how to play these teams. They're like, fine, give them the ball. All we need is two good corner kicks and two good set plays, and
That's it. One free kick in terms of
we'll,
Algeria against
we'll be up.
Cameroon.
Yeah, we'll be up 4-0. And I know we're getting close on time and end this session, but I saw Canada qualify today.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I was impressed with what I saw. I saw the game against Costa Rica that they lost on the road.
But they had a red card that match,
Yeah,
so
they
that's
did get a
why
red
they
card.
were
Yeah, and
playing
even
with 10
that
men.
game, even with the red card, you could tell like they were the better team, right?
Yeah,
And
Canada's come a long way, bro.
they've come a long way, and they do have some really good players. I like Larry. I like Buchanan. I mean, they play well on that. They play well when you watch them. They do the Buchananism. Watch out for that kid in the World Cup. 1-on-1, he takes people on. He has pace. He can play on the right or left wing. He's going to give a lot of teams problems. And the
Yeah,
thing about them also is when you watch them, they play as a unit.
yeah. What
One
I'm
guy
most
gets the ball,
impressed,
they make runs. They're doing all the right things. I swear to you, they're a good team.
what
U.S.
I'm
couldn't beat them
what I'm most
in
impressed
two
with
legs.
Canada and their qualifications that they finished first in CONCACAF because it's
Yeah,
okay qualified. It's not. It's when I was just looking at the qualification path for CONCACAF, they've actually turned it into a very good
round robin
series.
types.
Right,
Yeah,
it's actually pretty decent now, and then it's going to benefit them. Although, like because they are going to host the World Cup in 2026 cycle, maybe, and then I think it's going to be Canada, USA, and Mexico. Those three teams.
Mexico.
So
Yeah.
it might actually hurt them in the long in that aspect because they're not going to play competitive matches. But yeah, Canada
Most
is
of the
going
games, will be held in what you call it.
U.S. Of course not. Of
Yeah.
course, it's going to be held here. But those three countries will be in it. U.S. is basically through. They had a 5-1 victory today against Panama. They aren't officially in, but they're just about in because Costa Rica, which is the
Yeah.
team holding the fourth spot in CONCACAF, they if they beat the U.S., they'll be tied on points, but they need to beat the U.S. by 6 goals to get the third automatic spot. And so CONCACAF plays the the other team in the playoff from I believe it's from Oceania, so New Zealand is the other team that CONCACAF. So New Zealand's waiting on the fourth team. Most likely it's going to be Costa Rica. So right now it's Mexico, Canada, Mexico, and the U.S. from CONCACAF. Costa Rica is going to be the fourth team, but they have to play in a playoff against New Zealand. And if we move over to that side of the world in Asia, Asian qualification is pretty much wrapped up. Also, I think South Korea, Iran, Saudi Arabia, and Japan, those four teams have qualified. Australia has also made it to the playoffs. They await the fifth place team in CONMEBOL. So from CONMEBOL, they've wrapped up their qualification also in terms of who gets the automatic spots. I believe CONMEBOL, it's Brazil, Argentina. They already qualified before this week. And then Uruguay qualified by virtue of the victory this past, on Wednesday or Thursday. And then I think Ecuador is the other team that qualified. So remember we're having this conversation about
Yeah. Yeah.
South
South
America
America.
has four
Yeah.
teams automatic, possibly five. And I was saying to you, there's the same teams that qualify all the time. There's only one. There's one spot that's usually up for grab where the teams rotate. Ecuador is taking it this year, but Ecuador is no stranger to the World Cup. They were there in
No, they were there last time.
2010. Were they there last time?
I think they
I
were.
don't, I don't think they were there last time, but they were there in 2010. They
Did
were there in
Colombia qualify
2014.
this time? Colombia is there.
So now the last spot is up for grab between, I believe, Colombia, Chile, and maybe Peru. Those three teams are fighting for the. Peru might have been knocked out already, but the last time I checked, there's one spot, and then they get to play against Australia. So that's all that's left. And then when you go to Europe, The only thing left for Europe is their playoff qualification, and the biggest shock of them all was seeing Italy lose to North Macedonia.
Don't you? Italy's not going to the World Cup again, man.
2 straight World Cups. So let me give you a quote from Fabio Capello, or at least a statement of why he thinks Italy is no longer qualifying. He said some very
Here
damning
we
things.
go.
He said Italy has been trying to play, the Italian league has been trying to play Pep Guardiola style football, which is not really what we're good at. And what we really should be doing is be trying to model our style after Jurgen Klopp's style of football, direct football, defending directness, which is what Italians are good at. And then something he said, we failed at this club style. Says now everyone is like back passing. They look at stats and they say this guy completed 70% pass. But if you look at the pass, how many of those passes were actually forward passes, which is the Italian way, is a direct style of playing football. Then he made
Yeah.
one comment. He said, here's how you could tell the Italian league has gone down. He said, look at the players: Victor Osimhen, Tammy Abraham, and he mentioned one other forward. Romelu Lukaku. He said those guys come to Italy and become champions, meaning they score a lot of goals. The moment you see that those guys are dominating our league, that should tell you all you need to know about our league and where we've been in football. He said we won the European Championship. It was a blip. It covered up all the mistakes that we were making and how the quality is not there. The Italian league doesn't have as many Italian players playing in it anymore, especially in the youth leagues. And so he's saying that's where their problems lie.
Yeah. So, dude, here's my take on that, man. I've
Mm-hmm.
heard that argument before. It's lame. It's
Mm-hmm.
old. Blame the foreigners for the reason why your national team didn't
Mm-hmm.
do well. Here's the catch about that the national team. Let's break down the players that actually play on that team. The teams they play for, they start, they dominate. You have Jorginho, my man, he plays for Chelsea. He starts. He's a good
He missed
player.
him. In fact, he's been getting the most blame for those missed penalties against Switzerland that could
Switzerland,
have put them
exactly.
automatically in.
But when you look at it, for the most part, a lot of these guys all play for their top teams. And the top teams, I'm talking about the Juves, the Inters, and these teams compete on the European continental level. No,
Their
here's what
problem is
happened.
strikers. They don't have finishers, man.
Yeah,
So
you can't
they
blame.
can. They don't have
Yeah,
strikers.
yeah. Look,
They don't have strikers.
are you? So what's England's excuse? England has how many really fantastic players? You look at the guys dominating England for the last 10 years. A
Mhm.
lot of them have been foreigners,
Yeah,
but
but
yet,
England is on an upswing. They made it to the Euro finals. They were in the semifinals of
yeah,
the World Cup. So I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
England is
That,
doing
that,
well.
that-
I don't
that's my
think there's a
point. So
problem with them.
his argument has no bearing whatsoever. Here's what happened: the talent team he put together went to play North motherfucking Macedonia,
Macedonia.
and they thought we're just gonna walk over these clowns,
Right,
and they got their
right,
asses handed to them. That's all it
right,
is.
right,
This is
right.
football.
Yeah.
It's not. It's not. Oh, look at the guys dominate. No, or it's not. They're using too much stats, and no, your players didn't show up. Period.
That is true.
And you
That is
need.
true.
Yeah,
And
that's all it
if you think
is.
about it, man, if you go back to the historical way the Italians play anyway, they always play this high wire act, where it's one goal decides the game for the most part when Italy is playing, whether they're playing top teams or playing not so top teams. Eventually, and they've always come out on the winning side, at least more often than not in those scenarios.
Yeah.
Eventually, that ends. If that's your mentality as a footballing nation, at some point it's going to come back to bite you in the ass, and I think it's done that. But anyway, Italy is out. North Macedonia has to play Portugal, which looked really good against Turkey, at least in the initial stages until the Turks made their comeback, mounted a comeback until Burak Yilmaz missed his penalty that could have tied the game. And then Portugal finished the game up. So most people will consider Portugal is going to make it in that particular playoff. The other one, there's two other ones matchups. Scotland automatically faces you the winner of the Ukraine. Sorry, Scotland's supposed to play Ukraine, and I think they play against Poland or so, who's waiting on them, and then Wales. No, I take that back. I mistakenly made the wrong assessment. Wales won their match. They looked really good in winning the match they played against. Who did they beat at home? I forget. Now they beat them 2-1, but it was a
I
pretty
know
good
that
matchup.
guy Bill had a brace.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
the guy comes in, plays for his national team, looks like he hasn't missed a beat, and then he can't get a minute in Real Madrid. It's something that just seems a little odd there, and I don't know exactly what it
Dude,
is.
that's the point I'm making about this thing. Is about some players take this national team games seriously and show up. A bunch of them don't. And in Italy's case, they just didn't. I mean, look at the Euros. They had no. If you really were a betting man, you would not have bet on Italy winning the Euros.
No.
You wouldn't. But they went in there and they won.
And they
So
look good winning it too.
they
I
look
would say
good
that.
winning.
And
So
on top of that, you have to
yeah,
understand they had a 2.5 year
no, it's not.
unbeaten streak. So that's one of the things
Yeah,
Mancini was saying that, hey, look, we went 2.5 years without losing, so we're not all of a sudden bad players. It's just a problem we just couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. And against
yeah.
North Macedonia, I know you were saying that I don't know that it's overlooking. They took about 20 shots to North Macedonia's 2. And North Macedonia's only shot on goal went in the net in the 92nd minute. So that's football sometimes. That's just
Not
how it
football,
goes.
man. It's not Osimhen or Lukaku or Tammy Abraham or you know.
And then the
Scotland
other
needs to.
one was Sweden against the Czech Republic. So that's that. Okay, so that's the matchup. So Poland was supposed to play Russia, and obviously once the Russians invaded Ukraine, they got kicked out of all international sports, or at least soccer. So they're not going to be in the World Cup. They were in this playoff against Poland. Poland actually said, "We're not going to play you guys. We don't want to play against Russia." Before FIFA stepped in and disqualified Russia from the World Cup. So Poland gets an automatic bye to the finals of the playoffs, and I think on Tuesday they get to play against the winner of the Sweden Czech Republic match. Now that was a very interesting
That's a
game.
good
It was
match. Yeah.
tense. It came down to extra time and then a moment of brilliance from a bunch of guys, including Alexander Isak, who
Yeah.
I think is of Ethiopian or Somalian background, but plays for Italy, plays for Sweden from Real Sociedad. A young kid who is often compared with Victor Osimhen, actually, because they're about the same age, and tearing it up a little bit. But he provided the assist for I think Quaison was his name, the Brazilian import in Sweden, to score the winning goal in extra time. So they get to play against Poland, and I don't know who I fancy in that match between Poland and Sweden. On the one hand, Poland
Yeah.
has Lewandowski, but the rest of their squad is pretty average, if you ask me. I like Sweden; they have some good players. Dejan Kulusevski, who has really hit the ground running in Tottenham, coming from Juve in the January transfer window. They have
Yeah, yeah.
Emil
I saw
Forsberg.
him play for Tottenham. He did really well in the game I saw. Yeah,
Emil
really good player.
Forsberg, he's a really dynamic player in the midfield, and some guys that play defender that plays for Man United. What's his name? One of the Man United defenders from Sweden plays for them, and also Alexander Isak. So I like Sweden. I would think if you had to give me, I would say I'll take Sweden. But it's anybody's game, and then obviously Wales against the winner between Scotland and Ukraine. Now that game has been postponed till June because obviously Ukraine, they couldn't raise any player. Their players right now are busy doing more important things. Let's put it like that,
Right.
But so they postponed that match till June between Scotland and Ukraine, and whoever wins that match will play Wales. I'm thinking Ukraine is not going to be able to put together a team. Most likely, it's going to end up
I'll
being
be shocked if they do.
a
Yeah.
walkover for Scotland, but that will also ensure that there'll be one more British team. Now, Wales hasn't been to the World Cup since 1958, and this would be like a swan song for Gareth Bale. This is the one thing he's put all his eggs in this basket to achieve because it's not working out in Real Madrid. While Scotland, the last appearance was in '98 in France. So, we'll see how it goes, but that's what it's looking like around the world, and all eyes from this point on, after we finish this podcast, now
Tuesday,
shift
man.
to Abuja
Game on
on
Tuesday.
Tuesday
Yes,
between
sir.
Nigeria and Ghana to decide who wins the Jollof Derby.
Well, that's not even the jollof thing is not even an argument, man. I mean, we all know who has a better jollof rice. That's something someone started to make
See, for
noise.
me, I think
You
the
know.
biggest
Yeah.
argument should be which jollof inside Nigeria is the best. Is it Yoruba
Thank
jollof
you. Thank you.
or
That's the question.
this? You know what I'm saying? Which I
That's the
think
question they
Yoruba
should be
jollof
asking.
wins.
Yeah,
I think
hands
Yoruba
down.
jollof wins.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no one can mess with Yoruba jollof.
Lagos
But
jollof. Let's just put it like that.
yeah, party jollof.
Pati jollof.
Party jollof. There you
Can't
go.
beat that with it.
But
The one
all
made
this one
the one made with firewood,
firewood
and the pot
and the
on the
big black
firewood. Not
pot outside.
exactly.
Yeah,
That's the real jollof
that
right there.
jollof. Yes, the Ghanaians, you guys sit down somewhere. They don't have jollof rice. They have palm oil mixed with white rice.
Be careful though. Make sure your Canadian friends don't hear you say that because that's this one
They
is
should hear me. I want them to hear me.
declaration of open war.
Yeah, it's okay. I've had Ghanaian jollof. It's just palm oil Palm oil,
Right.
white rice, and
And they
salt.
might add fish inside and think that they're doing something,
That's
and
all. That's all it is, man.
it's not the same.
Nah,
Anyway,
they
we
don't.
know,
If it
we
was
know.
Senegal, I could say okay, maybe they had an argument, but
So, speaking of which, as an aside, Lai Mohammed, the
yeah,
Minister of Information,
yeah,
went
he's a
to
clown.
Senegal
I heard what he
and
said.
tasted,
Yeah,
and he said this is the best jollof he's ever had. So,
he should have gone fired for that alone. They should have canned him for that alone.
who's
My
gonna
man,
fly him?
thanks for coming on. Yo, we need to schedule the next session after the game on Tuesday, and we're gonna go live.
I
We're
remain
gonna go
loyal, my
live.
brother. So no
Yes,
holla.
sir.
Just holla at me, and you know how it goes.
Yeah. Hey, thank you, bro. Enjoy your time.
Yes,
We
sir.
out.
Go Super Eagles.
Go Super Eagles.